Alrighty, welcome to Military Studies 102, Week 2. We are covering Journey Through Aviation, Chapter 2, Lesson 2, Developing Aircraft. And we're also going to finish Air Power of World War I probably by the end of this week, so that our test will be coming up. I'm going to go ahead and review the class. By the way, all my hybrid cadets need to know that I'm trying to develop the next generation of Moodle for us, and there's a lot of test cases and test videos on there that do not apply to you guys really. Let's go to the website and see our announcements. Biggest announcement is our military ball. Our military ball will be in, what is it, February 8th? Is that right? February 8th, so it's coming up in a few weeks. What, 3 weeks? And, how come my computer's not working? Let's try this. prescottjrotc. There we go. Announcements. Tomorrow is a Luke Air Force Base trip. I'm going to be taking some of my cadets there. That's a pretty cool picture. What is this plane in the background? What is that piece of junk tinker toy?
F-16.
F-16, piece of junk tinker toy. Good job. I'm glad y'all training you guys right. We have an orienteering meeting. The next orienteering meet is when? It's February 6th, I'm pretty sure. February 6th, uniform of the day for Thursday is blues, long sleeve with windbreakers. It will be cold. We're giving out a flight streamer for the cadets in uniform. New ranks, anybody has new ranks, please come pick it up. Cadet of the Month board is today. Who from here is our Cadet of the Month? McGee, okay, you're on top of that. Uniforms, Conrad Carroll, 1L. You're in the doghouse because you haven't picked up your uniforms. And oh, by the way, you're graded, right? Tuesday when you have it on. Military ball, that's what I'm talking about. This 8th of February, this is your only required event for ROTC this quarter. Next quarter, the only required event is our change of command in May. But this is a fun deal, mandatory fun as we call it. I give you a grade for coming out and hanging out with your buddies and having a good time dancing. Does everybody know where the Prescott Adult Center is? No. Do you know where Rosser Street is?
Yes.
So you go up Ruth, turn right at the stop sign, and that's Rosser. And you go for about a mile, and it's on the left. It's before you get down to 89. But we'll have a great time, a lot of fun. Here's the dress code. Men wear the full service dress, or you can wear a coat and tie for the first years, and women can wear a full service dress or a dressing gown. We have the same dress code as with any prom or dance at Prescott High School. Okay, and for our ROTC website, the Moodle JTED, I wanted to make sure that everybody was online. So has everybody signed in one time for MS102? Okay, yes, great. And then how about all of you guys go down here and try to find your grades. This is not how yours is. Yours would be
under resources.
I think it's under resources. But this is how your grades look. And you total them all up and they'll all be there. And hopefully if they're not right on here, they're not right. So please look at them and make sure they're good for you. You actually, once we get we have essentially four grades a week, because it'll be uniform plus 3 assignments, very minimum. So you have to slide this thing on the bottom to get them, and we'll go from there. All right, any questions about that, guys? Alrighty, so let's continue on. Everybody please open up your books to page 44, Developing Aircraft. We started this yesterday, and I'm going to review up to the part, but your test on this will mainly include the people and the terms, the vocabularies. So if you look on page 45, you'll talk about the vocabularies from aileron to torque to rotors to porthole to tandem to cockpit, pylons, jumpsuit, as well as the people that actually develop the aircraft and the key individuals. So our test on the LL5 actually will be regarding the vocabulary and the people. We went through the Wright brothers and Glenn Curtiss. They were both involved in bicycles prior. We talked about some of the individuals in the beginning of the 1900s that augmented the Wright brothers' invention. Glenn Curtiss, we talked about him. He actually started with a bike engine and then went from there and started making engines for aircrafts. Here's some famous picture of Glenn Curtiss on the left. We talked about Thomas Selfridge, Alexander Graham Bell. Pretty famous guys. Aileron is control of the aircraft. And we go through these original people who flew in the early 1900s. How did most of them die? Crashing planes. I'm telling you, it's not like they died in automobile accidents. They were experimenting and building their own planes. And you know what? They didn't quite understand the whole science. The amount of information I give you guys in my Science of Flight class, which, oh, by the way, will be the basis of MS102 next year, is more than any of these guys, of course, had any ideas about. Ailerons, small flap on the wing controlling turns. We talked about the first seaplane. Curtiss knew that the United States Navy would want to have planes for their environment, just like the Army had planes for their environment. And, of course, he won a lot of speed records. French pilot, Louis Blériot. You don't ever pronounce the last consonant in French. So he was the first man to cross the English Channel. We talked about that. What, 21 miles? Okay, took 37 minutes. He first built the first monoplane. Ooh, good question. Is that one our? That's not one. What is the first? What is a monoplane? Could have Walensky. What does monoplane mean?
Plane with one engine.
Nope, not one engine. Good try. Yes, sir.
One set of wings.
One set of wings. It's mono. Okay, all the way. You look at the picture there. Straight through, and so it's like one piece. How about that? One piece. All right. Fuselage. What does the word fuselage mean? Someone. Okay. Petrovich, what does a fuselage mean?
The body of an airplane containing the crew and passengers.
You think it's kind of crazy, but somebody had to invent a fuselage so that the plane could actually protect people against the environment. Wind and rain would not be good. They actually ended up having multi-engine, more than one plane, more than one engine. They added engines to the aircraft to eventually get up to what's called the triple twin. Kind of famous in 1911. This is, what, 8 years? You know, very, very short time after the airplane was invented. They actually placed one engine in front of the cockpit and one behind it. What's a cockpit? Cadet Overton. There, my pilot sits. There you go. They still call that today, even with the large planes we have. Here's a Russian pilot, Igor Sikorsky. Gee, have we ever heard of Sikorsky? What's a Sikorsky?
It's a brand of vodka, sir.
Of what?
Some kind of alcohol.
Of alcohol. Sikorsky alcohol? Hey, you know more about that than I do there, Cadet Petrovich. I've never heard of Sikorsky alcohol. But he was just as famous for his helicopters. Okay, Sikorsky helicopter. And there's the picture of the original Sikorsky 4-engine airplane, and he eventually started working on helicopters. Okay, earliest engines were very heavy and inefficient. Therefore, the reason they were that they were used as water. What cools your automobile engine? Radiator. What's inside the radiator that cools the engine, though?
Radiator fluids.
True. Water. You're exactly right. Water and radiator fluids. It circulates the fluids, and that causes a lot of weight extra to the engine because it adds a lot of metal to it. So in order to take out that weight of recycling water through the engines, they invented something called the rotary engines. And let's see, there's a great picture of that on page 49 on lesson 2. So basically you stuck the cylinders out into the air, and you added the fins on it, and they were in a radial, round, circular formation, just like on page 49, and that way it ended up having the air cool the engines. And it made it a lot lighter, okay? Helicopters, gee, is that a crazy looking thing? How many people would jump in that and fly that in your backyard? Look at that crazy thing. Almost looked like a bunch of, looked like a fan, right? Two fans stuck together. They don't have fixed wings, they have rotating wings. What do you think, by looking at that contraption right there, would be the most difficult thing in helicopters?
Landing.
Landing?
No, moving.
Crash. Crash is landing, right? What would be, yeah, control of the helicopter with no wings. They didn't have ailerons, they didn't have rudders. It was kind of a crazy contraption as they are today. So the largest problem with it was control of them, how to keep everything in constant motion without them crashing. Rotors were another name for propellers, but the rotors were horizontal, propellers were like this. And then in this, the common problem was helicopters have a big problem with balance, okay, the center of balance. And a lot of the people, honestly, would crash and burn on these things to begin with. And you can even, it says here, nobody found the solution for 30 years, from 1909. They had the concept that something would just levitate up and then move, but again, keeping it balanced was very complicated. What happened was in the early part of the 20th century, 1900s, was the military buying and building a ton of aircraft in, say, the 1910s, 1920s? Why?
Because they still weren't sure about them?
They're still building horses. They're still buying horses, right? And they were not fully developed. So who was building most of the aircraft in the 1920s and 30s? If the military wasn't doing it, who was doing it? Yeah, the people, the civilians, the commercial people. So if you owned how about this? If you owned a drink factory and you wanted to promote your drink and it was called Kramer's Fizz, okay? You would hire young man McGee who wanted to make some money, and you'd say, hey, young man McGee, why don't you fly across America and you can advertise my Kramer's Fizz product. And this is all commercial. This is not the military giving Chuck Yeager a plane to go the fastest speed of sound. So the commercial people were doing it, and believe it or not, there was something called a Vin Fizz flyer. There was an award for $50,000, 1911, to fly across America in 30 days. Spoiler alert. Did this happen? Can he fly across America in 30 days? I mean, how hard is that? How long does it take to fly across America now?
Like 3 hours. Yeah.
500 miles an hour, 2,000 miles, 3 to 4 hours, depending on the winds. Okay? But 30 days. Did he do this? Kramer, you paid for it, buddy, $50,000. Did he do it? Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, no. It took him 49 days to make it. Okay. I think they have a picture of where is this in this? Right at the bottom of page 51. Took him 49 days from New York. Of course, here's the picture. Look at the picture of how he did it. He started off in Maine and went there through Chicago, went all the way down into Texas, and then he wiggle-waggled across. 49 days. That's a lot of flying, and that's a lot of sleeping out on the ground, and he screwed that up. But he gave a lot of advertisement to his product, and to the 5 cents, the ideal drink. Did anybody ever heard of a drink called Coca-Cola?
Yes.
Why is it called Coca-Cola?
They used to put cocaine in it.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes. It was an energy drink. Or it was a feel-good drink. It was a solve your stomach drink. Solve all your problems. Why? It had cocaine in it.
People weren't so concerned about drugs back then.
We weren't concerned about it in the 1800s.
Yeah.
But this is a loser, right? Do we still have Vin Fizz being sold today?
Yeah.
Loser, okay? And so the Cokes won, right? All right, here was the first enlisted man to get a pilot license. Here's a question. How long did enlisted troops become pilots? Is it necessary today to have a 4-year degree to be a pilot?
Yes.
It is today, to be honest. But what about World War I?
No.
7 weeks.
World War I. Was it required to have a college degree to be a pilot in World War I?
No.
Nobody had degrees anyway in World War. What about World War II? Was it required in World War II to have a college degree to be a pilot?
No.
No, they had enlisted sergeants flying all the time. What about Vietnam? Now 60s. Korea, how about Korea? We have our hometown hero coming here Wednesday. Ask him if the pilots had to have college degrees. Do you have to have a college degree in the 50s?
No.
No, that's true, you did not. What about the 60s for Vietnam?
No.
Why? 60s? My gosh, I was born back then.
Because he needs people to fight for him.
The bottom line is you had sergeants that flew, and in general that was kind of the transitions to the 60s. After that, generally you had to have college degrees. The Army still has something called a warrant officer program, where you now have to have a college degree, but again, in the 60s and the 70s, you could be a pilot, a helicopter pilot, without a college degree. What about Chuck?